Hey Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing all right.
Oh, awesome. Sorry about being a couple seconds late. My mic stopped recording for some reason, so I had to unplug it and make sure it was working.
Technology, what a curse.
It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Very, very true.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I am such a huge fan of the band, and I could not be more excited to be able to help promote the brand new album coming out September 23rd through Metal Blade.
Hey man, thank you so much. Thanks for being willing.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. So, what went into the writing process for the new album?
I mean, it was kind of a weird situation because Allegiance just had really bad luck in the touring front. So throughout our history, we've kind of just had 2 years to write a record and we haven't been able to get on the road. You know what I mean? So just sit home. Maybe a tour popped up and we'd go do that for 2 weeks, come home, and then 2 weeks out of our year we have plenty of time. Right before Elements, we had a lineup change, which enabled us to just tour. And so we just hit the road really hard we'd already written Elements, but we started touring before the record came out. And then we basically became road dogs from then on. So we were really scared going into this record because we didn't think we were going to have enough time to write it because we just didn't have as much time as we normally do. So Mike and I flipped out and basically had a mental breakdown, and we just started trying to write and write and write and write. And sometimes nothing comes out, and then there's days where it's like everything comes. And I remember we were sitting there with our management at the time. They're like, "Yeah, you need to go in and record in February." And I'm just like, "There's no fucking way we're going to be ready. There's just no way." And then 2 days later, I'm like, "Yeah, we're good." It's like 3 songs just magically came out of our brains, and it was like, we're going to be fine. We only have 3 left to do. We'll be good.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing how that works. Sometimes just getting that fire lit under your ass from the labels sometimes just can inspire a great album.
Yeah, it wasn't really the label. The label really didn't have much to do with it before the fact. I don't know. You just can't force it. Sometimes it just happens. And sometimes you have to work at it, and then sometimes there's nothing you can do, and nothing's going to happen, and you just can't work on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, very much so. I mean, the best albums are the ones that come organically and doesn't sound forced.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how you say that there was a bit of a time pressure to be able to write these songs, because it sounds completely fluid, and it sounds like you guys spent so much time working on these songs.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you think that. I agree. We take a lot of pride in, the ability of songwriting, and we want things to flow very well, no disjointed parts, and, sometimes that's, the hardest part is I got to get back to this one section. How am I going to do it? What about this? And then you get there, and then everybody's like, yeah, that's good, and you listen back to it. There's a section in Biomech 2 where I had to get into 4/4 because I was emulating Biomech 1, and then I had to get back into 12/8, and for the life of me, I couldn't get that transition to work, so I just kind of forced it, and it irks me to this day to listen to it. But so I'm glad you said that. That's success right there.
Yeah, again, sometimes it just takes that time pressure to just force that creativity out there, and hopefully in the future, when you're able to look back on it a few months from now, and once touring starts to pick up, you can look back on the album and realize that it is like this cohesive project, and it does have that natural feel to it after the fact.
Yeah, hope so. It's at the point now where we're just too close to it, and I've been people have been asking, what do you think about the new record? I'm like, I don't have an opinion. I've just been with it for so long now, because so when I was saying earlier, we were panicked. We ended up writing 17 songs or something ridiculous for the album, and then we had to sit there and carve out 10. That's what we were contracted for, and we couldn't do that. And we carved out. Okay, we have 11, whatever, and then it ended up being 12 with the Subdivisions cover. But yeah.
And speaking of that, where did the idea for covering Subdivisions come from?
Subdivisions was supposed to be a bonus track for Japan. We recorded 2 Rush tracks. We recorded Animate off of Counterparts, and then of course Subdivisions. Animate was supposed to be for Europe, and Subdivisions was supposed to be for Japan. And the reason we chose to do covers was we felt that our music was good enough not to just delegate it to one population center, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm just sending this piece that I'm really proud of and only Japan gets it, that kind of sucks for everybody else, you know what I mean? Especially if I'm, like, invested in it. So it was like, well, let's just do a cover. And Allegion's never, the only cover we've ever done is When Satan Rules His World by Deicide. That's the only song the band has ever covered, which, it went over okay. When we do it live, we only played it twice. But like half of the audience was like, "Oh my God, it's Deicide," and the other half was like, "What the hell did just happen?" You know what I mean? Because we're not like a brutal death metal band, you know. We're kind of more on the melodic side, even though we love the band. Yeah, it kind of was really weird. So when it was coming in, it was like, let's just do a cover. It was okay. Well, let's just do that. And this was all talked about before Riley joined. And then when Riley joined, it was like, "Oh man, you can sing." He's like, "Yeah, I kind of, I have no problem with Deicide, but I think we can do something that'll be a little cooler." And he's like, "What about prog?" And I'm a huge prog head, so I was like, "Okay, you have me." And I was like, I really wanted to do Yes. And King Crimson was thrown around Yes and Rush. Rush won out. I think Brandon is like, "You mean I get to play Neil Peart?" Yeah, let's do Rush. So, and then it was just choosing a Rush song, and I couldn't choose. I love anime, and I love Subdivisions, and I couldn't choose between them. And I was like, well, we're gonna need two anyway, so let's just do them both. And then none of those countries ended up taking them. So Animate will come out maybe next year as a one-off single or something like that. But yeah, that's really how it came about. It wasn't supposed to be on the record at all. But.
Oh, that is so cool. And you guys chose Subdivisions, which is my favorite Rush song of all time. And then, of course, Anime. I mean, it's sad that none of the countries took that song for the bonus track, but it'll be awesome to hear that next year to keep new music from Allegaeon going.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody that we did two, so that people don't think, oh, well, Subdivisions was a hit, so they automatically did another one. You know what I mean? And it was like, no, I'm just an idiot and can't choose which song we're going to do, so we're going to do both. And we'll stagger the release. Because Metal Blade was like super supportive when I turned in the demos, and I just get a text from Metal Blade, and like, Subdivisions needs to go on the record, and it needs to be a single. And it was this mixed feeling as like, man, I'm so happy that you guys are so like stoked on something we're doing. So whatever you say, you know what I mean? Because you want the boss to be happy. And then the other hand, I'm like, man, this is just a cover. You know what I mean? Like I kind of want our original music to be kind of out there, but it is what it is now.
well, it's kind of works in a positive and negative light. For the negative, you're not hearing if this is your first interaction with Allegaeon, just hearing Subdivisions, you don't know what Allegaeon is fully about. I mean, you hear that it's a heavier take on Rush, but also the way to look at it positively is if they enjoy that cover, that they might go and check out the original music and be just as impressed, if not more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what Metal Blades, that was their thought process. And they're the ones that have been doing it for 30 plus years. You know what I mean? So when they speak, we tend to just go, okay, obviously, you guys have been doing this way longer than us. You know what you're talking about. And we're just like, even if we don't quite get it, that was my big fear. I think I said that to Metal Blade. I'm like, but it doesn't sound anything like Allegaeon. Like, people are gonna, if they go out and buy the album expecting to hear like 12 tracks of Subdivisions type stuff, people are gonna get pissed. You know what I mean? And it happened. It happened before. It happened with Sabotage, right?
Yeah.
And they ended up having to change their name, and then they became Trans-Siberian Orchestra. You know what I mean? I'm like, I guess it worked out for them because now they're making millions of dollars as Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So actually, now that I'm saying this all out, forget this. If we end up changing our name, it'll be all right. If I can not have to work 3 jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Just go that top 40 route, and then you'll be doing the stadium touring. You'll be fine.
Yeah, awesome. As long as we can get pyro, that's like, I want pyro and a meat and cheese tray.
Yeah, I mean, that is a cool way to look at it, though. But, as long as you still have the integrity going on for the original music of Allegaeon as well, I mean, I'm glad to see that is still the main focal point of the band.
Yeah, and we have plenty more singles to release, actually. I think we're going to release 2 more singles before the album drops. And then we have a music video, hopefully that'll come out after it drops. I think we'll be filming it right after we do Ozfest. But so I mean, there's plenty more music, and like we are going to try to balance it out. So I think next week we're dropping another single that is like a little bit more straight death metal, even for us. So it, you know, hopefully won't give people whiplash too much when they're like, that was all clean singing and really melodic, and here's something that is like completely blast beats and no singing, you know. So we'll see what people think. There should be something for everyone.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Is if I was brand new to Allegaeon and I heard a song like a cover of Subdivisions, and I hear like a straight up pure death metal track, I mean, I would love that even more, because that really showcases what the band is capable of.
Well, that's a very positive way to think about it. I want to just carry you around in my pocket all day so you can tell me positive things.
Oh, and I mean it too. I mean, if there was stuff I didn't like, I'd be honest about that. But I mean, with the new album, it's just I love the direction that you're going in without anything sounding too forced at all. I mean, I'm like trying to think of spots that you were telling me about how, you know, it's like with that time crunch, but it's just like the more I think about it, it's just like it does have that natural feel to it that I never would have guessed that there was anything like that going on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm actually really proud of is just how much Mike and I gelled, because on Elements, you know, he came in. I had written pretty much the whole record when Mike came in, and then, you know, I had the classical guitar parts to Genocide done. I was like, hey man, why don't you try finishing this? And it was kind of like a writing audition to see where he was going to be, because I mean, I knew the guy could play. He was on tour with us. I knew he was great, and it was just like, hey man, so here's some music, and you finish it. These are the stipulations. I want it long, and I want it epic, right? So, and then Genocide for Praise came about. And, you know, it was just like, you know, home run, like right out of the park. And then he did 2 more songs. One of those we didn't put on Elements. It actually is on the new record. It's called From Nothing. And that was actually left over from the Elements. So this record, it was pretty much 50-50 between Mike and I. I mean, with all the covers and stuff, I had to do a lot more arranging. So that was my Thanksgiving break on tour. Everybody's having fun. We're in a hotel room in Texas, and I'm sitting there with like a pizza, like, you know, arranging Rush songs. But yeah, so I mean, that really with the 17 songs, the hardest part was like, well, what needs to go on the record? Well, I'm like, Gray Matter was the first one I wrote and everybody really liked it. All Hail Science was kind of a mission statement, so like that kind of had to go. The disaster, we have to have a disaster tune in every record, so that one had to go. And then I had the 3 Proponent For Sentience, so I'm like, I'm over my quota, like that's 6. And Mike, he's such a team player. I mean, the nicest dude in the world. He's like, I'm fine with 4. He didn't care. And then, so, you know, we chose 4, and we're like, dude, we just can't do 4 of yours. We need another one. It's so good. So we just tacked on 5. So that's how we ended up with 11 originals. And it was just, you know, everybody's just so easy to work with.
Yeah, and that's a very important thing, too. I mean, when it comes to lineup changes and just growing as a band together, I mean, especially with being signed to Metal Blade and touring and everything, you really start to see how everyone becomes working together through all of those elements, and it's great to see that the lineup is gelling that well.
Yeah, I mean, I think about this all the time, because, you know, there's definitely been lineups in this band where it's a very much professional arrangement. Like, I'd be fine if I never saw, you know, some of those guys outside of a show, you know what I mean? Like, you know, hey, how you doing? It was fine. It's like we had nothing in common. We just showed up and played, you know. But now it's like I'll go hang out with Mike all the time. Like, has nothing to do with the band. And Corey, I love hanging out with him. And Riley, I just talked to him for like 3 hours last night, just bitching about life. You know what I mean? And Brandon, I love that guy, but he is a serial killer and doesn't talk. So hanging out with him is great. I love it. But there's, I don't know what to say. He's so quiet. Unless he's drunk. And then he's still quiet, but everything he says is absolutely hilarious. Unless I get pulled over and he's really drunk and telling me to shoot the cop with a Nerf bow and arrow, which happened in Portland. I'm like, God damn it, Brandon, shut up!
Traffic stop, all right.
Oh, yeah. And the funniest, dude, when Mike and Brandon get drunk together, oh my God, I'll wake up in the morning and, like, there'll be, like, traffic cones in the van. Like, the shit that Mike and Brandon get up to, I can't even fathom the thought process that goes into, like, I'd wake up and, like, the whole room is just, there's condoms all over the floor. Like, they were just, like, trying to fuck with maid service. And like, just
Yeah.
acting like there was just an orgy in the room and throwing dirty condoms all over the hotel room. You guys so fucking weird.
Oh,
I have the greatest band on earth. I love them.
But that's what makes touring life so exciting, when you can have those kind of stories.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's being in a room with those four guys, man. It doesn't take long before we are laughing, but you can't ask for a better working relationship with your buddies, for sure.
Oh, very much so. And you expect it, the heavier your music is, you just expect it to be more of this very serious, you can't have any fun, but you guys are definitely proving that wrong.
Oh man, it's so funny you say this. I'm so annoyed at ourselves. So this video, we actually have a legitimate video dropping next week for All Hail Science, which is the straight up death metal tune.
Yeah. And
it's basically us. It's a live. We just did a free show at a metal bar and just filmed, the fans that showed up and our mascot being, retarded. And it's just us laughing on stage the entire. It's just weird. To see us, I'm we're playing maybe the heaviest song we've ever done, and we're just on stage laughing. And I'm this is the juxtaposition of these things. We're idiots.
Yeah, but I see nothing wrong with that, though. I mean, just it shows that you guys can have a fun time, and you don't take things that seriously. I mean, you take the important things seriously with writing and touring and stuff like that, but you know how to have fun too.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing and you're not having fun, then it's not worth doing, to be honest. I mean, because there's no month, right? There's no retirement plan for me. You know what I mean? I'm going to do this until I physically cannot do it anymore, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. With the way the music industry is, you're doing this purely out of love for the music, and if you're not having fun, then there is really no point. You'd be better off, getting a job and having some security and making sure you're not going to be homeless, But so it's all about the love.
Until you can get to be a top 40 band where you get that meat and cheese tray.
Yeah, man, I just long for a meat and cheese tray. Actually, you know what? I think the meaning of happiness is brand new socks. If I never had to wear a pair of socks twice, I think I would be so much happier about life in general. I think we should just bomb ISIS with new socks. I think it'll cheer them up.
I think that'd be a good contingency plan. I think that could really work.
Yeah, or, I don't know, have those planes that have, I don't know, project boobs in the sky. Who can blow stuff up when there's boobs around?
You can't. You're too busy looking at the sky.
No, boobs. It's the answer to world peace.
It really is.
Or do a twofer, boobs and new socks.
Ooh, even better.
Nothing would get done ever. Everybody would be so happy.
Oh, that's awesome. Getting back a little more serious into what you guys are up to, what are your current plans for the rest of the year?
We'll be touring for the rest of the year. We're about to go out with the Cavalieras on their 20th anniversary for Roots. I think it's the 20th anniversary. And then we got Ozfest in the middle. And we have a week off, or a week or two off before we meet back up with the Cavalieras. Really strange. I'm not really sure why we have all this time off. So during our time off, we're going to drive to Illinois from LA, and then we're just going to spend a week pumpkin farming because we can't be serious about anything. So we're going to go to Brandon's farm and basically film ourselves being farmers. And that'll be fun. And then we go to Canada to meet up with the Cavalieras and Black Dahlia and to finish that tour, which I'm really excited about that. I'm just going to hug Brandon Ellis so hard. And then I think we come back home. I think we have a month and a half off, try to scrounge up some work, and then we go out again for the remainder of the year. And I can't tell you about that tour because it hasn't been announced, but it'll be a good one.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely be looking forward to that. Sadly, that Roots tour is not coming to Minnesota, but I'm hoping that you guys will make it back to Minnesota sometime soon so I can hear the new songs live.
Yeah, I don't even know if the other tour is going to Minnesota either. Really strange, because it is kind of in that Midwest area. I don't know, but it's in November, December. Maybe they skipped it on purpose.
Well, that actually works out for you guys. That way you don't have to deal with all the snow that comes up here around that time.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying. Maybe it works out.
Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah, if you can aim for like spring or summer 2017, that would be perfect.
yeah. Well, I mean, definitely, I've already been talking to our new management about next year and what the plan is, because I want to get. I really want to do a full U.S. and Canada headlining tour after we do these couple support tours and see what else shakes loose. If we can get some more support slots, I want to do that. But before we go into do another record, I want to do a full U.S. and just kind of see where we are with the fan base, see if it's expanded at all. And it's kind of like a testing stick to see how healthy we're doing. You know?
Yeah, and I think you guys definitely deserve it at this point in your career as well. And I think this is an album that strongly deserves a headlining tour, at least one of them.
Yeah, well, the hard thing about us is that since we can't get tours, we headline. Our history is majority headlining. We'll just go out and headline the tour, and it's the problem with that is you're not gaining new fans. Only existing fans are coming out, you know, and it's all word of mouth, which nothing, you know, it's good, but you just grow at snail's pace. So the fact that we got a new agent, we got new management, and we're getting these support tours is great. Problem with it is when your songs that you kind of want to play are 10 minutes long, kind of really hard to do a support slot. So when you only get 30 minutes, 35 minutes, picking our set is incredibly hard when just spent years headlining and we'll play for an hour, hour and a half. I think we played for 2.5 hours on our CD release. I think people were so sick of us by the time we finished. Actually, the venue cut us off and we had like 4 more songs to play. They're like, no, you're done. We're like, oh, okay.
So when it comes to that, I mean, especially with like this upcoming Roots tour, have you guys thought about what you're going to be putting into the set?
Yeah, it's extremely hard. So the record won't even be out for most of that tour. So we're only going to play Gray Matter, which everybody should have, you know, hopefully has heard, and then one other songs that hasn't been released yet. That's the one that we're hoping the video will come out after Ozfest. So it's kind of playing new songs is always really hard because people can't really get into it, you know, because they don't know it and they're kind of just absorbing it, and it's kind of an energy killer. So as much as we want to go play like a whole bunch of songs off the new record, we really just can't because it'll just kill the show, especially when we're trying to win a whole bunch of new fans. They need to feed off the energy of the people that already know the music. So it's going to be, there's a few new songs, but it's going to be spread pretty wide from our whole discography, except for our EP, just because we don't have any time to play any of that stuff. But yeah, and we'll see. Like right now, our set that we chose, I think it's 40 minutes, and we only have 30, so I don't even know. We're going to have to cut something, or maybe 2 somethings. So it's really hard. Picking a set now is ridiculously hard for us.
Oh, but it will be worth it, though, once the tour actually starts, and you start to gain those new fans from the Cavalier Conspiracy, Black Dahlia, and all those great bands.
Yeah, hopefully, unless they're like, I don't know what this is. You guys are horrible. Go away.
You mentioned earlier about having some other songs that didn't make the cut for the new album. Are those songs possibly going to be coming out in the future?
All of them are. They didn't.
Awesome.
The reason they didn't make the cut wasn't because we didn't like them. It was just they just kind of. These songs just fit better for Proponent. All of those songs are slated to come out on the next record. And I mean, so I think we have like 8 songs done for the next record, and we're only contracted for 10 per CD. So we've already been writing. Like me and Mike, what we kind of want to do, I've talked to Metal Blade a little bit, and I'll have to go into this deeper, but I would love to do a double record. Just because we're so ahead of the game right now, it'd be really awesome if we could just write like 10 more songs and then have 20 songs for people. You know, I don't know what they're going to think about that. That's kind of like, you know, what the contractual obligations, does that count as 2 records or does it just count as 1? Not that I care, but you know, will that fulfill our contract? Because this is number 4 and we're contracted for 6 records with Metal Blade. So will that just be album number 5 or will that be 5 and 6? Whatever. I mean, we have a plan for all 6 records, but I mean, it's really just, you know, what Metal Blade is willing to do. I mean, they're the bosses. You know what I mean? They're flipping the bill. They should be able. They tell you what, you know, you can and cannot do. And a double record would be expensive. You know, we'd be in the studio for like 2.5 months recording all that music. So who knows what they want to do, and you know, we'll work with them to see what's possible.
And if that ever does come to fruition, I know a lot of people would be excited about that. I know I would definitely be one of them. That way you can actually show off everything that you want to accomplish on an album rather than having to cut out material that is just as strong as everything that makes it on the original cut of an album.
Yes, absolutely.